Hi, my name is Britt Cowart, and I am with Full Circle Grief Center. Thank you for joining me for this virtual conversation about grief on journaling through grief and loss. So, we wanted to do this conversation today because it is really an effective, constructive coping tool for grief and loss. I'm going to talk to you a little bit as to why it's helpful, why it's beneficial, a little bit of just touting the research. And then I'm going to give you some tips, possibly to give it a try. And then I will share with you some of the grief journaling prompts, sentence starters that we use here at Full Circle with our clients and with our group participants. So, we know in grief it's important to retell your story of loss over and over again. It's healing and it's important. Journaling gives you a way to do that as much as you want. And it gives you a chance to not only retell your story, but explore all those emotions, all those complicated grief emotions in depth to help you process what has happened, the event, the loss, the memories, etc. So it also combats avoidance. So journaling can help you to release your feelings, right? Retell your story. We know that chronic avoidance can cause larger problems in grief. And journaling can help you avoid avoidance. It can help you find a safe, non-threatening, judgment-free zone to tell your story, express your feelings. Research has shown that writing about your worries, concerns, grief emotions can reduce rumination, meaning it can reduce the swirling thoughts that spin around in your head, often at nighttime. This can be helpful for many reasons, but it can also positively impact your sleep. We know when you are up at night and you can't get those thoughts out of your head, it's important to write them down. And we know that folks that journal consistently, they have improved sleep. They sleep more, they fall asleep faster. This only helps us in our grief. It improves our overall daily function. Also, journaling has many psychological benefits. The research shows a reduction in depressive and anxiety symptoms related to grief. It also has specific overall improvement in physical health. So it's important to note all of these benefits of journaling. You may be asking yourself, why isn't everybody doing this? Why am I just really hearing about the benefits of journaling? So despite the upsides to journaling, it is an underutilized coping skill. Sometimes because folks may feel overwhelmed by journaling, right? They may not know how to get started. I'm here to kind of hopefully encourage you to try it. Just give it a try. It can be done anywhere. It can be done in the privacy of your own home. It can be done on the beach. It can be done in your car. So I'm going to give you some tips in a minute to help you get started. But I do want to tell you there are two different kinds of journaling that we recommend. One is a free-flowing journaling. So there's really no guidance, no structure. It's just, it may be that you journal on a word, or that you just journal about whatever you're feeling at the moment, or possible thoughts that are swirling around in your head. oftentimes when you do this free-flowing journal, it can be helpful to give yourself a time limit, maybe 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, but make it manageable, not overwhelming. The second recommended way is something that we tend to do a lot here at Full Circle with our clients and with our group participants, and that is posing powerful or specific questions. So giving you a specific writing prompt or sentence starter, if you will. And this can provide you with some structure and some guidance, therefore helping you to maybe feel less overwhelmed, less intimidated, less threatened by the act of journaling. So some tips to get you started. And I do want to share a quote before I share these tips with you. And this one is by Nina Murray. Journaling is like whispering to oneself and listening at the same time. So these tips come from Natalie Goldberg, and they are these tips are identified in her book, Writing Down the Bones, Freeing the Writer Within. So I want you to remember that grief journaling is not about perfection. It's not about writing perfectly at all. In fact, in some ways, it's about doing the opposite. So the first thing you want to do is keep your hands moving. Don't pause to reread the lines that you have just written. Don't cross out. Don't edit. That's not what we want. Even if you feel like you wrote something that you don't mean, it's okay. Let it be. Keep moving forward in your writing. Don't worry about spelling, punctuation, or grammar. Lose control. Don't think or be logical. Let your right brain take over. This can be uncomfortable for some of us, but this is part of the process, part of the power and healing nature of journaling. Dive into the tough stuff. This one may sound and feel hard, but it's one of my favorites. Grief is hard. Grief is difficult. And through journaling, we can write about the scary, unsettling stuff, right? That's often where the best processing takes place. So share your feelings of suffering. Explore the depths of your emotions. Lastly, be compassionate and gentle with yourself. Try to keep this mantra in the forefront when you are journaling. Again, it's not about judging what you've written. It's not about editing or going back necessarily and even reading it. That can be done and that can be beneficial, but oftentimes it's just the act of getting it out and processing as you're writing. So I'm going to mention some of my favorite grief writing prompts. These could be some that may help to get you started, or at least try it and see how it goes. I do want to tell you that on our website, there is an article that I wrote about journaling for healing, and you can read there the benefits of journaling, some of which I've already mentioned, as well as the tips, and as well as a longer list of grief journaling prompts. So if you've enjoyed this video, you may want to check out that article. That way you can see everything listed there for you. One journaling prompt is, today I am really missing. A comforting memory of my loved one is. Whenever I start to feel overwhelmed by pain, regret, guilt, or despair, I will. And that's a journaling prompt that you can fill in whatever word you need to fill in. To be more compassionate towards myself, I am willing to try. Some of my grief triggers are: I could use more of, I could use less of. My favorite memory of my loved one is. My most difficult memory of my loved one is. Because, and this memory makes me feel. So these are some options to get you started. I do want to end with a quote from Margaret Atwood. A word after a word after a word is power. Thank you. Again, my name is Britt. My email is britt@fullcirclegc.org. Please reach out to me if you have any thoughts or any questions. Thank you for being with me.